All right, guys, I wasn't really planning on doing a video tonight, but there's still some folks that are having a hard time with the concept of how these jigs can be used to recreate things. I guess the only way I know to show you guys is tonight. What I'm going to do is I've got a jig panel that I made for one of my original videos. This is a jig panel that I made, and you can look back on my videos and figure out when I made it. But I made this file when I very first came out with my jig panel design. All right. And I have even since then had to replace the piece that my locking panel on my jig set. All right. Because I wound up moving it, and I had drilled some holes in it in this enclosure. So when I got my new Pro, I built another one for the Pro to use. The other one had too many holes drilled in it. It looked kind of nasty, so I just cut me a new one and put in the new enclosure. So this is not even the same locking panel that I had when I made this, okay? This is the same machine, and this is the same computer, and I'll be using the same file. But this machine, as you can see, it is off. There's no light emitting from it. My laptop, I just had to move it over from the Enjoy wood. My laptop is off. Short of getting a new computer and opening the file with another computer, which really wouldn't change it if Lightburn's set up properly, I don't know how much more change I can make in this process to convince those folks that you don't got to have limit switches. You don't got to put absolute coordinates on anything. It's all about the mechanics of the machine and the I guess you could say consistency of the file. As long as the machine mechanically is consistent and the file is saved and not moved, everything should work as you want it to. So for tonight's little demonstration, I'm gonna make a quick video, and then I'm going in the house to eat supper, and I'm gonna take me a little break. I'm going to fire up my D1, which, just to show you guys, for the naysayers out there that think that I'm rigging this or something, here's the D1, guys. It's not plugged up, okay? It is not plugged. It is powered up. It is dead. This is a D1 standard. This thing was bought October of 2021, okay? There's no limit switches anywhere on this guy. So this is an original run of the X-Tool D1. I ordered it like right after they came out. I watched some videos on YouTube. I liked what I saw, so I ordered it. And me and it have been working together now for going on a year. So that's that, guys. But stick around for a minute. I'm gonna get my laptop fired up and get it ready to go. And I'll be right back, but I'm gonna leave the X-Tool turned off, and I'm not even gonna launch Lightburn until y'all get back, and I'm gonna be recording me launching Lightburn on the computer. So stick around for a minute. All right, guys, I'm trying to sync up the camera as well as the computer on the video. So that way we can do all this together, and I can overlay the two. I got the power on the machine turned on. I got my capture software up so that I can capture the screen so that you can tell what's going on. First step of this thing is going to be, I'm going to go over here to the machine, and you should be able to follow along with the cameras. Okay, guys, here's my USB and my power. All right, I'm gonna move the camera around so y'all can see the machine, because that's gonna be the part everybody's gonna be so interested in. So let me get back there and adjust it and make sure you can see what's happening here. All right, I'm not gonna go too wide, because I kind of want you to be able to, or too close, because I kind of want you to be able to see the computer screen as well. As you can see, no power to the D1 yet, because obviously there's a red crosshair that comes out of this thing the minute you power it up, and it's not shining. So I'm fixing to give it some power, and we're going to turn this guy on. I'm going to turn my enclosure on, which includes my lights and fan, and we're going to take this jig. Now, This jig, I forgot I did add a retractable pencil holder to this, and that's my, y'all have watched my channel. Let me find them. What did I do with them? If y'all have watched my channel for any length of time, you know I've got this nifty little retractable device that I keep on my carpenter pencil because I have a nasty habit of losing carpenter pencils, all right? And so I bought a box of them because I broke the one that I had. And so I bought myself a box of these guys. And it's just it simply is just like a little yo-yo for your carpenter pencil, okay? You stick the carpenter pencil in there. All my pants have this little neat little hook right here because that's what they require at work. And I hook that on there and extract it. So the last use I did on this jig right here is I was engraving my logo in the center of this, in the center of these pencil things. Now, I haven't done that in a while, and as you saw, I just plugged the machine up, just powered the computer up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the file that I built for this. I'm gonna show you the process, guys, and I'm gonna do this real quick so I can go eat my supper. All right, so I'm gonna put the item in here. I built the jig, and the way the jig for this guy works is I just cut a hole that's big enough for this little clip to sit in, which makes it sit just like that so that I know that my image is square because I put my image in, rotated it minus 90 degrees, and centered it on this guy, all right? I'm gonna put this in there, snap it in, and go load the file, and I'm gonna etch in the middle of this little circle right here, I'm gonna etch my logo. So, it's snapped in. The way that this little jig works is that thing snaps in, and it does not let it move north, south, nor east or west, okay? Then, this is the old, let me move the camera around a little more. That's kind of hard to see with me standing my big butt in the way. So here we go. Let's do it this way. Let me get her zoomed in there for you guys, gals. All right, so there you go. Now you can see it. All right, so I'm gonna drop my little foot down, all right, because this is critical. You gotta do this. I'm gonna bring my lever up, focus it on the top of that thing. And a little tip for you, if you've got something like this that has a ledge on it, when you go to raise that foot, instead of just raising the foot, raise the foot and push the laser at the same time so that you don't like shove or hang or whatever. So I'm focused on that guy. Okay. If you do not have limit switches, guys, on a D1, pre-limit switches, this is how you home it. That's home. All right? There you go. So let's go over here, and I'm on the computer now, and I'm gonna try to flip these videos around as I work in the editing side, but I'm gonna launch light burn. All right, here we go. Of course, I only got one laser powered up, so it's gonna be the X tool. It's gonna be COM6. This is my standard X tool D1, so I'm gonna affect that. My camera's been being a little hazy lately. This camera's not doing as good a job as I had liked for it to. It's having a little hard time with the focus. I may end up having to add a couple of inches to it because it focuses pretty well here, but I didn't put a honeycomb in this machine, and so that's what I wound up with. It's a little out of focus, or maybe the light, I don't know. But I think I'm gonna upgrade it to a different camera anyway. So what I'm gonna do now, guys, is I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna open my file. I keep all my files buried away to where I have to hunt for them. Because I started this, I did not have near as many files as I do now. So I got to figure out which one this is. Okay, this is a pencil jig. Retractable pencil jig. There it is, right there. There's my retractable pencil jig. All right, so I'm gonna open that up. All right, so there's the burn I used, and in the current configuration of the way I use it last. All right, guys. So I do recommend when doing this, if you notice right here, see this little green dot, guys? That in light burn tells you where the laser is. And since I don't have homing switches or anything like that, it's gonna assume starting out like this that the laser is at home. Okay, so I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna do a little quick frame. Like I said, on the first one, it's not a bad idea to do a little quick frame just to make sure you hadn't messed anything up. But I'm gonna run it out there, quick frame. It looks good. Glasses, guys, glasses. So I'll put my glasses on and you're gonna be wanting to watch the camera over here, all right? I'm assuming I have the power set correctly for this. I don't think I did this on my 20 watt, 70 at 100%. No, if I'd have done it on the 20 watt, I'd have cut it in half. So that's definitely gonna be the D1 burn file. So here we go. Not moving anything, guys. I'm just gonna hit this button right here and you can watch on the camera. Now, I did find that this stuff doesn't like to engrave that well. I'm supposed to be gonna get one of the new IR heads and I'm gonna try it on the on this plastic, but it engraves, but you really can't see it because it's just plastic and it doesn't change color or anything. So, you know, even though I do put the engrave on it, you're really not gonna notice it unless you just look at it carefully. But that's all I did, guys. I laid the jig in there, manually placed my machine in the home position, which is gonna be 0, 0. Every machine that I'm aware of, unless there's some, you know, there may be some commercial machines or some big machines that I don't know about, the home position is gonna be X0, Y0, generally speaking. And so if you don't have limit switches, just push the thing to the corner. Just manually push it to the corner. With the D1 standard, it's probably actually more accurate than if you run in a real high frame speed, you're gonna get that bounce off the walls. But if you push it to the corner like that, you don't get that bounce. You know, when I started my machine up, I know for a fact it was all the way to the left, all the way to the back because I physically pushed it there. So I'm gonna let this continue. Probably could have run it a little faster. And I know I got plastic in there and I ain't got the lid closed, guys, but if I close the lid, people are gonna be swearing that I planted that guy in there and that it was already, I must have run it 2 passes. Did I run that? How many passes did I run? Yep, I ran that 2 passes. But if I close the lid or if I break this video and don't do it in the 20 minutes that my camera allows me, there's gonna be some people out there saying that, oh, he cut the camera off and replaced it with one that had been engraved and that's why it was in the center. His jig kit doesn't really work. But it does work, guys. I'm not a con artist or anything. I'm telling you, it works. And I understand some folks have been listening to all these, you know, different techniques and it gets confusing. In my line of work, I have learned that if you've got somebody that thinks they know how to operate a firearm, it's harder to teach them how to do it than it is somebody that's never picked one up. You can take somebody that's never picked up a firearm and have them shooting the aces in a minute. Somebody that they think they were taught correctly by their granddaddy, and it'll take you months to get them corrected. So I'm not knocking anybody. It's just, I don't know how better to explain this, guys. I really don't. And I'm not that smart of a guy, so trying to articulate this is hard. So that's why I like cameras. I like video. If you see it done, maybe it'll sink in, because that's the way I am. I mean, you could tell me all day long how to do something, and unless you show me, it's really not going to stick. So it looks like it's on the tail end of it, guys. I'm not cutting this video. I'm keeping the computer going, and I'm keeping the camera going, and I'm going to overlay these guys. I'm going to try to see if I can swap from one screen to the other in the post-production. All right, hang on. It's done. So let me get over to the computer, or to the camera. Ooh, that was about too hot for it, guys. Let me see if I can focus it. All right, that was way too much heat for the record. Way too slow, way too much heat. But guys, I don't know any way to tell you other than that's what I just did, okay? That is exactly what I just did. Now, could it stand a 1/2 millimeter to the left and a 1/2 millimeter down? Yeah, probably. Because if I'm not mistaken, last time I used my machine, I may or may not have actually manually moved my machine. So that's why I say, if you're gonna do 30 or 40 of these things, do your little test burn, make sure you're centered. But yeah, I mean, I could stand a maybe 1 millimeter down to the left on that file. But that's how I did it, guys. I mean, it didn't miss it. It did probably need some fine tuning, because what I probably did last time is just use the home button. And tonight, I just wanted to kind of show you that you don't have to use the home button to do this. You can manually push it over there. Now, watch I want y'all to watch my home, guys. This is a standard X-Tool D1, no limit switches. I know everybody says, oh, the X-Tool D1, it slams the walls, all right? If you go, and watch my computer, if you go onto your machine right here, now I've got mine set at 75 right now because I was doing stove covers with it, and it takes a while at 50. But if you go in here and you change this, this is your framing speed, but it affects any of this stuff right here on this little wheel, which also is the home button. So watch my machine when I hit the home button. It's going slow, but look, no bouncing, no banging, no hammering. Now, I'm going to show you, if I manually push this machine, let's see how much it moves. Maybe a millimeter. I pushed it back maybe a millimeter further. So that is exactly what happened with my jig file, is me moving it by hand actually hurt me on that. I would have been better off if I had done it using the software, because that's what I did last time. But that's why I'm saying, guys, it's consistency. If your machine, let me get a piece of wood. This is a 10 watt diode, X-Tool D1. Let me see if I can get lucky. Let's see how good my eye is. I'm gonna call that center of the workspace. All right, this is a 10 watt diode. I'm gonna start a new file over here. Let me see how much time I got left before this camera times me out. I think I'm 6 minutes. So we're gonna have to crank this on out, guys. This is a 10 watt diode, X-Tool D1, all right? I'm gonna run out here and I'm gonna put me in a little circle. I'm just gonna make it a quick little circle. This machine does not have limit switches, guys. Oh, I had to zoom back out. I didn't put that nowhere near center of the workspace. All right, this machine does not have limit switches. All right, I'm gonna show you guys something. Slow your framing speed down to 50 when you're trying to be consistent. You slow it down slower than that if you want, but 50 is at least where I would go. So I'm gonna burn this. All right, machine's going back to my pre-designated position, which I know, I'm cheating. All right, it's gonna come back out. It's gonna burn it again. It's in the same hole, guys. All right, now, some of you are like, well, what happens if you bump your machine or you move your machine? Okay, I'm going to use the home button again. I'm gonna home it. Like I said, slow your framing speed down. This thing, when it gets over there, when those motors realize that they hit resistance, there's a timer or a time setting that they quit operating. So the faster you're moving, the more you're gonna bounce, the less consistency your home location is gonna give you. So I'm launching from home this time, just like I did the first time, and I'm gonna burn it again. All right, now I'm gonna go back out from my secondary location, from my park location, and I'm gonna do it again. All right, going back. This is no limit switches, guys. My framing speed's turned down. That's the big secret with this machine. All right, so I'm gonna do this again, guys. But this time, I'm gonna cut it off. Watch for the red light. Machine's off. Machine's back on. All right, I'm gonna home it. Yeah, it's slow, but when I'm doing jig stuff, I slow it down, because when I'm doing jig stuff, I want precision. When I'm doing stove covers, I speed it up because I'm really not worried about a millimeter or two. All right, Going back out from the home position. Gonna run this bird again. All right. Just for giggles, we're gonna run it again from my secondary, my parking location. All right, burn it again. All right, now, without killing the video feed, guys, I'm fixing to let y'all see this so that you know. I'm gonna zoom this thing way in. I want it to where I can count the fibers in the wood. I'm gonna take a picture of that, and I'm gonna drop that picture right here so you can see what it did. And guys, that is with using the home function on an X-Tool D1, all right? So this isn't limit switched machine. This thing doesn't have anything special about it. This is the very first X-Tool D1 they made. Like I said, I can show you my Amazon receipt, guys. I purchased this thing like October or November of 2021. I think I purchased it, I ordered it in October. I think it got here in November because it was a little bit of a lengthy delivery. But that's it for tonight, guys. I'm gonna cut the video now so y'all don't think I'm cheating or nothing. All right, guys. I have beat this horse to death, okay? Moral of the story is consistency. It's about consistency. As long as your starting location is consistent, you can use whatever. You can draw a circle on your wasteboard and line your laser up with it if you want to. It doesn't matter to me. But the simplest and easiest approach is use what all machines have, and that's a home location. Whether it's got homing switches or limit switches or whatever you want to call them or not, the physical far left, either up, top, or bottom. This machine over here uses bottom left. X-Tool uses top left. But when you open Lightburn, wherever that green dot is, when you first open Lightburn and load that machine profile, that is what it is referring to as the home location. The home is kind of a relative term. I mean, you could technically set that wherever you wanted to and use it, but you just need to be consistent. So it really doesn't matter. The simplest way is to use one of the corners, because it would be really hard to set a home location on that thing halfway through either axis. So most all machines are going to use back left, front left positions. Now, consistency. Make sure that you stay consistent with where you start from. I mean, you saw I did the hand push approach, which I don't usually do, and that screwed up my jig a millimeter. You know, it pushed my image back towards the back side of the machine 1 millimeter, because there is a 1 millimeter variation, obviously, between manual home and the machine home. There's a 1 millimeter variation. But as you saw on my demonstration right there just now, and as you see on that picture, and I'll drop it up there again for you guys, that was 8 or 10 passes, and it was one cut. So, and I used the home position, I think I rehomed it like, 3 times in there? You can back the video up and look, but I rehomed it using X-Tool's rehome with no limit switches 3 times, and it hit the same cut. So limit switches aren't that important on an X-Tool D1 as long as you slow the framing speed down. If you don't slow the framing speed down, when it hits that side, it is going to bounce. And if it doesn't bounce consistently, then you are going to have a major issue. But you could slow the framing speed down to 10 if you wanted. I mean, that would get a little old, but you could. So anyway, I'm going to put this video together, guys, and I'm not trying to give anybody a hard time, but please just try to understand that. And for all you guys that have been messaging me all day long today saying that, you know, you can't do it without homing switches, or you can't do it without limit switches, or yeah, that works great on a machine that has limit switches, but I don't have limit switches. You don't got to have them. I mean, now, if your machine doesn't have anything, you can just push it far back to the left. The machine, because it doesn't have sensors that tells it where it's at, it's going to assume that it's in the back left corner or the front left corner. So that's where you just gotta wrap your head around that. As long as you use the same starting location, the same file, and a consistent jig. And keep in mind too, this is a different jig setup than what I had over here. I built a whole new locking panel for this machine. So that was built on when that machine was over here. is when that was built. And so that's not even the same locking panel. There's so many things changed, but yet that was an acceptable, you know, for a first run. Like I said, if I hadn't have manually pushed it back, I could have got my 1 millimeter back, really looked like a superstar, but whatever. But anyway, that's it for the night, guys. I appreciate you. All you guys that have been telling me how much you like the system, I appreciate that as well. And I'm currently, was in the house just a few minutes ago. I wasn't gonna come out here tonight. I'm doing some file building in the house, but we're like at the last testing phase of this kit for the Ortour Laser Master 3. So if you have an Ortour Laser Master 3, there will be a jig kit for that machine in my Etsy shop soon. One of the followers sent me a message and volunteered to help me on the measurement end of it, and I've sent him some files. And believe it or not, guys, I actually got it right the first time. This guy that I'm working with on this one, he's aces when it comes to measuring things, because the measurements he give me, I used, and it worked first try. So stick around and watch for that, but appreciate the support, and y'all have a good night.